We're here with NJCA Hot Hoops once again. Kenya Landers and Dan Olson. We're talking JUCO women's basketball again, and it's
Yes.
getting down to the end of the season. Three,
Yes.
four, 5 games left in their regular season for a lot of these teams, and they hope they're peaking, Kenya. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and it's again one every week is an interesting week,
Yeah.
and so what we'll uh, what we'll see, I'm sure, is some more interesting games coming down the line, and then who's getting into the region tournaments.
Yeah.
So the top 25 for this week, virtually unchanged.
Yep.
You want to go over that?
Yeah. In our top 10, we have New Mexico. In Division One, we have New Mexico, Northwest Florida, Chipola, Three Rivers, Wabash, Wabash Valley, Shelton State, Dodge City, Hutch Community College, McLennan, and Gulf Coast State. Those are our teams that are in the top 10. And then down in our Division Two, top five, we still got Kirkwood, Johnson County, Union, CCBC, Essex, and Mesa. So it's
Unchanged.
yeah, it's unchanged, and they're still rolling and competing.
Yeah. Here's a
Yeah,
school we haven't really talked much about is Highland.
yeah,
Highland Division two level, no, they're ranked number 8.
yeah,
And we spoke about them last week briefly, but had been a powerhouse for quite a few years in the Division two side,
yeah,
and then slipped a little bit. Now they're back, and so kudos to Highland
yeah,
as we move
yeah.
on. So, how about our wins and losses for the week?
Yeah. So let's talk about who was hot for the week. We had New Mexico 2-0 this week, had two good wins versus West Texas and Odessa.
Mhm.
Northwest Florida State 2-0. We had Three Rivers 2-0. Wabash Valley played three. They were 3-0. Shelton State 2-0. Hutch 2-0. Um, Arizona Western 2-0. Pearl River 2-0. Eastern Arizona had two good wins this week. Western Nebraska, they've come up number 24 in the poll, so they went 4-0. And then we had just right in number 26, Glenn won two this week. They had a big win this week. And then Grayson also 1-0. So, it's
A
to
lot of those
me.
teams, a lot of those teams you just mentioned are the ones that are really up there that are consistent every week.
Yes, yes, and they're the competition that they're playing. I mean, we talk about that every week, but it can get dicey. So, Chipola went 1-1 this past week, and then we had Trinity Valley went 1-1. They beat Kilgore and then dropped a tough one to Glenn. Um, Odessa went 1-1 for the week. Um, Walter State went 1-1 for the week. Salt Lake went 0-2.
Mm.
And then we also had Clarendon that are receiving votes. They went 0-1. So, you know, it's, like we say, we had some losses, we had some wins, and you got to be ready Wednesday, next game day, or, whether you won or lost, you got to stay ready, right?
Yeah, yeah. So Chipola is going to drop a little bit in this coming week's poll,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Trinity Valley might drop a little bit because they had one loss.
Mm-hmm.
So up and down, up and down. Here we go. That's
Yeah.
but
Yeah. It'll be interesting because at this point, we got to find, like you said, we got to find some consistency because we're coming down to the point and to the time where you're going to the regional tournament. Anything can happen in that regional tournament, but you want to take care of your business in hopes if you don't win it, to get an at-large bid and still be able to get to the national tournament. So we just we got to get into some consistency for those teams that are frequent flyers at the national tournament to make sure that they're back there, right?
isn't it amazing that you play all of these games and all of these possessions? All right. Players, listen. It may come down to one
Yeah,
possession that
yeah,
determines whether you reach your region tournament and
yep,
advance.
Hmm.
So you got to pay attention. You got to execute, you
That's
know.
right.
But that's how valued those possessions are. You know?
Yeah. You got to
So
execute. You got to stay after practice, shoot those extra 20 free throws.
there you go.
You got to keep working on your handles, your fundamentals, because
Yeah,
those are things that are going to keep your game sharp. So,
yeah, agreed.
yeah.
Okay, we're coming back with our rewind session here in a minute with NJCA Hot Hoops.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
We're back with the rewind session, Kenya, of Hot Hoops for this week.
Yeah.
And we've had a few losses. We've had some solid wins for people. And let's kick it off with Wabash. Wabash was actually in a game here with Vincennes, an
Yeah.
unranked team. And your favorite player, Beautiful Wahid, went for 14, 5 boards in that win, 78-65. Wabash gets the W. Uh, a freshman forward for Vincennes that we haven't mentioned before, foreigner, Romanian player, Delora Prekop. She's
Mhm.
been a consistent player for them this season. She had 10 and 15 in that loss.
Miss Double Double.
There you go. And she's a freshman and she's got size.
That's right.
Uh, Two unranked teams tangle in Texas, and they're always giving us good numbers. You don't have to be a ranked team to
Right.
find really good games,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Temple knocks off Collin County 79-67. Not in the top 25, but they've been there. Temple puts 4 players in double figures. Michael White dropped 19 and 5 assists. They don't have a lot of size at Temple, but they got speed. They're well coached. They execute and they start to continue to figure it out, which is what the key factor is this time of the year. Um, Old Dominion bound Alicia Nunley, 9, 10 boards, 4 assists for Colin. She's their motor at Colin.
Yeah.
Kenzie Gusters, this is a Texas player.
Hmm.
It's got a stroke. She went for 31. She had 9 free throws and 2 threes in that game, but just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
But heck of a game for Gusters sticking
Yeah.
30.
I love her game.
Yeah.
I love watching her play. Yeah.
Northwest Florida State puts it on top of Chipola 57-50. This was at Northwest.
Yeah.
Nice place to play and their home environment. And they jumped on Chipola. They're 35-14 in the first half. And but the tables kind of got reversed in the end. Deborah Davenport, among the top forwards, a kind of a rim runner four, had 12 for Bart Walker's Northwest Florida State team. And look, Northwest Florida State, like I've said before, when they've played last year to this year, seems like they have a lot more continuity to their team.
Right.
And they locked up Chipola to 28% from the floor, and that'll get you wins when you do
I
that.
sure will.
You know, the Valley. Let's talk about the Valley with their nemesis Kilgore, that's down the street from them. Okay,
Yeah.
83-63, and the rivalry continues, as we say. Nylea Wilkins for Trinity Valley, really good guard at 25 and 7.
Yeah.
And Monica Marsh, that George Washington U transfer, who's a Texas kid,
Hmm.
point guard, 21 points, 4 assists. And we'll see. Is Trinity Valley starting to peak? What are they doing? I got a feeling, she writes the ship.
Yeah.
Precious does, and I think that that's probably what's going to start happening here if it's not
Yeah.
already.
Yep.
So Hutch, 66 over Garden City. Remember, we talked about this game 2 months ago, it seems like, and Garden City almost knocked them off. Uh, Hutch with a 13-point win, and Haley Jackson, up to her old tricks again, had a career high 32. This is, I think, like her third 30 plus game of the season.
Yeah.
And the turning point in this game was the third quarter for Hutch. You know, they went on a run, and I think they went on a 21-10 run. And Jackson moves into the top 10 all time in scoring at Hutch, which is a great feat.
Yes, it is because they've had some fantastic players that have come through
Yeah,
there. So
yeah.
to bust into there, that's big time.
I think she's got like 920 points career so far.
Wow. It'd be good to see her hit 1,000 this season.
Yeah, it would be. Anna Pires. We've talked about Anna a little bit for Garden City. A 6'2 sophomore forward, long, athletic, can run. Maybe she's starting to figure it out because she had 15 in that loss. So that would be huge for Garden City, Greg Franklin moving forward to rely on someone in the front court that can give you some numbers because
Yeah.
he's struggled to get that this year, I think. So number one, Odessa steamrolls Odessa. New Mexico steamrolls Odessa 89-72. New Mexico, they're stable. They got 5 players in double figures. Amya Sutton had 21. Panya Davis, the Florida State signed and number one player in the country, 10, 8 boards, 3 blocks. Uh, I, over the years, have not seen a lot of players stick the three as much as they're doing now.
Yeah.
And Sutton is a testament to that. She's hitting 49% almost from the full floor from the deep line. That's pretty impressive, you know?
There's two things that could be possibly happening here.
Yes.
She's in the gym, or we're having some defensive breakdowns and we're shooting wide open shots.
Yeah,
But
lucky.
even wide open, that's hard to do. Even wide open, it's hard to do that. So much props to her.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Jaden Cook had Odessa was solid. 12, 9 rebounds, 3 blocks. She's an East Carolina transfer, and she's helping Odessa along the way.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears to the Division II league. As we spoke about a little bit last week, Johnson County is going to get tested when they go to Highland, and I was right.
Yep.
55-52, Johnson County remains undefeated, 27-0. Ben Conrad gets his 500th career win. Now, his numbers are pretty crazy. This guy's averaging 89% winning percentage.
Crazy.
That's crazy, you know? Look, they were down. If they didn't have a 15-2 run late, they would have lost that game. And Talia Scott had 12 and 8 rebounds, 5 assists for Johnson County. And I'll tell you what, Highland is going to be one of those teams that I would feel makes the national tournament, Division II.
Yeah.
It could cause some problems. And so we'll see what shakes out as that moves forward. But heck of a game. Kudos to Ben Conrad.
Yeah.
61-58, Eastern Arizona gets by Cochise. And we're going to talk with Misty Opat,
Yeah.
excuse me, in our hot seat segment, who's the head coach at Cochise. But a 3-point game, that's typical of down there in that region because those games are close most of the time. And Nia Dagans dropped 15 and 66 assists for Eastern Arizona. That's a guard we haven't talked much about.
Mm-hmm.
And Cochise, they didn't hit a 3. They were 0-5 from the arc, which is that's part of our game now, you know.
Yep.
And but Jessie Joquim, who we've noticed doing a lot of double work, had another. She had 15 and 14 rebounds. This is a player that's got to be coveted right now, I would say.
Right.
6'1", bouncy 4. And Kaylin Asbury, Michaela Silas, they combined for 23 in that loss for Cochise. You know, on other notes, Uh, Chipola, Pensacola, they played at Pensacola, and Penny Belford, she's struggled through the season because, I mean, she's playing some heavyweight teams, and she's no slouch of a team. She got a nice team. Um, yeah, she had Chipola's number, at least she thought she did, but Chipola had a little bit of an 11-0 run there late and gets out of there with a 47-46 win at Pensacola. So Chipola keeps their nearly perfect season alive, and Pensacola fights another day. So that's what it's all about,
Gotta keep them fighting.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Hey, when we come back, let's talk about Upload, the games of the week ahead, and there's certainly going to be some good ones here on NJCAA Hot Hoops. Back again with NJCAA Hot Hoops. Kenya, Dan Olson. Kenya, let's talk about some Upload games. All right, there's going to be some really nail biting games here coming up. Gulf Coast at Chipola. They've been fighting back and forth. They're right behind, I believe, number one Northwest Florida State. So it gets interesting in the Panhandle as we keep moving.
Yeah.
Butler County in Coffeyville. Coffeyville's gotten hot. They've got it going on. They're really playing well as a team, and they could be really upsetting the apple cart there in Jayhawk Conference land. But so can Butler County.
Right.
Cochise goes to Arizona Western, that 5-hour drive, and it's not an easy one, and then you got to play. So Cochise, Arizona Western should be a good game in that tough region out there in Arizona. Someone that we really haven't talked much about, Southwest Mississippi goes up to Itawamba in that league down there. Brett Harris, the head coach at Southwest Mississippi, great guy, good coach, and he gets his kids to overachieve. And Itawamba has got a nice group too, so that could be an interesting game. And then once again, let's go back to Butler County. They're going to go to Hutch and play, and that could be an interesting game as that falls out too in the Jayhawk Conference.
No doubt.
So, yeah, a few games left. Who knows?
I'm glad we just get to sit back and watch.
Exactly. Hey, when we come back, let's talk some hot seat with Misty Opat, the head coach at Cochise College. You talk about a JUCO player, a person through and through. It's Misty.
Yeah.
When
She's
we
the
come
best,
back
man.
on NJCAA Hot Hoops.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to Hot Hoops, NJCAA style. We've got our hot seat guest, Misty Opat from Cochise College on with us. Misty, overdue. We should have had you on before.
No
You've been
doubt.
doing great things at Cochise, and you've done some great things prior to Cochise. And Kenya, if there is a JUCO person through and through, it's Misty Opat.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt about that. No doubt.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't know you were a Garden City alum.
I am. That's a long time ago.
Wow. That's what I'm talking about, Kenya. She's got that grassroots
Yeah.
JUCO thing going in that blood of hers,
Absolutely.
Well,
You know
we're
that
delighted
gets
to have
us
you on.
excited. That gets us excited. So we're
Yeah.
all about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so your league, your state, your region, whatever you want to call it, has gotten stronger and stronger, and it's a dogfight every week. And man, I mean, it's going to be an interesting final couple of weeks for you guys out there. And
Absolutely.
yeah. And who do you have next? What are you approaching? What are you doing? Fill us in on what's all going on Cochise style.
Well, I mean, obviously, we just dropped a close one to Eastern on Saturday. You know, free throws win championships, and we didn't take care of business in that department. But kudos to Eastern, as you mentioned, our league and these young coaches that have come into the league have done a phenomenal job of building their respective programs. Wednesday we have CCC, which that's a tough one in terms of just being on the court. But then our big one is Saturday. We go to Western again. That's always a tough road trip, not just on the court. We travel 5.5 hours there. We play, the men play, and travel 5.5 hours back home. So that's the true JUCO life. And
Yeah. No hotels, no hotels. Just get there and get back.
Right, for sure. So that'll be a big one for us. We need to try to knock them off at home, and Chelsea's done a great job there of leading that program back to national prominence.
Yeah, she's done a
Awesome.
good job there. A lot of people have done good jobs there. I mean, your Division II members in that state have done a phenomenal job. So we're excited on our end to see this all unfold, But wow, you have been a dominating figure in the JUCO world. I mean, a four-time national champion at Division III Rock Valley. That's a feat in itself. And then, you came with your track shoes on when you got to Cochise, didn't you? Because you kept going. And
yeah, my first couple of years were tough here. I made the transition from Chicago State to here in the middle of COVID. And Laura had done a great job prior to me being here. But then when I came, there were no players coming back. It was the middle of COVID. We thought a couple would. They decided last minute they wouldn't. So that first year with our 11 games that we got in were pretty rough. The next year we took a step, in getting it rebuilt. And then obviously the third year, we were back in the national scene again. And that's where we hope to stay.
Yeah. That's not easy to do though. It's so funny how you mentioned it. Like the first year we struggled, the second year and the third year we were right back. Like that's greatness. And a lot of people are not able to get things turned around that fast. So talk to us just a little bit about what are some steps that you guys took internally? Like what did you guys do as leaders of the program with your recruiting? Like how did you get that turned around so fast?
For the first time in my career, we really focused on the international kids. We made some connections, and we had last year's region player of the year, Fortuna Niao, who went to Troy, was one of our first commits. And then Shauna Pashish, unfortunately, tore ACL last year, but she's at High Point now. And so we had a couple kids like that came and bought in and helped us change the culture. And then we built on that last year. And, predominantly our roster now is international kids. 9 of our 12 kids are international kids. And, it's been a breath of fresh air, to be honest with you. You hear a lot of coaches talking about sometimes you can't push these, kids too far or coach them hard, like old school coach as I am. And, the international kids respond well. They work hard, they appreciate the opportunity, they go to class, they do what they're supposed to do. And so for me, it's really rejuvenated my career, to be honest with you, as opposed to going out and, spending 6 months recruiting a kid for them to tell the international kids are very loyal. You speak to them one time and their coaches and their families, and they're on board 100%, And so we've really found our niche in that market right now.
Yeah. I've had the experience of playing international ball, and there's like for me, there's so much respect for the way that international players play the game. Just so much, so high. They're so high level with their fundamentals, and they understand the game just because they've been taught how to really play the game the right way from the very beginning. And so I think it's very interesting that you didn't decide to do what you've always done. Like one of my biggest pet peeves, and when people say, well, that's just how we've always done it. And I think kudos to you for, branching out and changing some things up and shaking some things up, and it's worked out for you. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So talk about some of those players that you have internationally. Who's kind of leading the charge for you, their roles that they're playing. Tell us about your crew.
Yeah, right now, we have 2 international kids in our starting lineup right now. The other kids, we have a D1 bounce back in KK Asbury. She went to St. Peter's a couple years ago, took a year off, got injured, took a year off. She's the engine, if you will, our point guard. We have Michaela Silas is leading our team in scoring. She's really elevated her game. Last year, she was primarily just a 3-point shooter. The majority of her points are coming off the bounce now. And so, while she wants to be shooting a higher percentage, she's helping our team more by elevating her game off the dribble. And then Carolina Padilla is a local kid who walked on last year and starting for us. And she just plays hard every possession. She's our second leading scorer right now, but night in and night out, she has the toughest defensive assignment on the other team. This last weekend it was Sarah Ding, then we switched her over to E. Diggins. And she just does a great job in that area for us. And then our 2 posts, which is a lot of our size is all international. All 5 of our posts are international. Jessie Joachim has really started to finally come into her own. She didn't play a lot for us last year, gave us spot minutes, more defensive minutes. But she's averaging about almost 12 points a game, 11 rebounds a game. And really in the last month, she's had maybe 3 20+ rebounding games, had 27 against CSN, and has really, really become a force in herself there. And then we have Michelle Nicolo. She's had some being far away from home, had a couple family tragedies, which I think has held her back emotionally right now. But when you look at her and you look at athletes, I mean, she's probably our best athlete, her body and everything. And so, and then we have, 6'3" Letitia Camden coming off the bench, 6'5" Lesline Pingay, who Dan saw when he came out and watched us. And then we got another guard that's starting to help produce. Paula Ingrid, don't ask me how to pronounce her last name, Najawi. So, we're starting to get deeper, starting to be where we need to be. And I think our best basketball is still ahead of us. I don't think we've played our best basketball. Obviously it's time to peak now. We got to go. Yeah. And, I'm excited for our kids. They're working hard, they're buying in, even with 8 losses. Our 8 losses are all against tough teams. If you look at the Massey, I think our strength of schedule is 11th. Playing the likes of New Mexico, South Plains a couple times, obviously Eastern, Western. Dan, you alluded to the D2 strength out here. Mesa, Pima, and Scottsdale are all ranked, and we've played all them. And so, when I first got here, one of the things, the knocks on Region 1 was that nobody knew how good they were because nobody played outside the region. And, I think the likes of Southern Nevada and Eastern, Western, and us, I think, we've changed that narrative and really made a point to, 14 of our first 15 games were on the road, and, a lot of them were New Mexico and Texas and those kind of things.
Yeah, we've talked about that. We've talked about your schedule and how you've really gotten out and challenged your crew, and you've taken some losses, but they've been tough games. And we've talked about how that's how you grow. That's how you become a better team. That's how you figure out, okay, what is our true potential as a team? Like, how good can we really be? And the only way you can do that is by, matching up with those competitive teams.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, as I've looked at your box scores and followed you through the season, uh, you're right on point with this. You ain't messing around now. You're
Yeah.
down to nut cracking time these
Mhm.
last few games, and
Mhm.
you want to peak. And I'm sure that that's what you're doing. You're seasoned at this, and I think that you can kind of carry that over to your players. And the likes of Asbury. When I saw her early, of course, I'd seen her more as a high school player. I mean, Kenya, this is one of the speediest players in JUCO, but she's started to pull the reins back, but she's, kind of dictating to where she goes, I think, but Jessie, Jessie is a star on the horizon, I think, because I mean, we've talked about her numbers, Kenya, in the
Mhm.
last few weeks.
Mhm.
She's rebounding more and she's scoring like
Yeah.
doubles,
Absolutely.
And
For sure.
um, yeah, I'm anxious to see how you do here moving forward. Uh, we expect you to, of course, be at the national tournament, and Kenya and I are excited about watching your team. And
Yeah.
and Kenya, she's got some players now
Yep.
that'll surprise you. That's what I like about going to Cochise. I'll make that drive just to see what they got.
Yeah. I love
And
it.
that's what it is for me anyway.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. I think we got some special kids and we talk a lot about you're talking about the national tournament and what do we got to do to get there, and unfortunately, I don't think our region's at the point where they would give us three teams.
Right.
And so we know that once the region tournament comes, we've got to take care of business one game at a time to be able to secure a spot, hopefully, in that national tournament.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've got advocates in Kenya and I, because
Yeah.
the
Love it.
many shows that we've talked over and over again about the strength of Arizona now.
Yep.
And I mean, you would have to be, I would consider the top three or four different regions in the country. You got to be right there with them all,
I agree
So
with you, Dan and Kenya. I totally agree. And, you just hope that carries over to the voters and that people recognize that because it is a dogfight. I mean, we haven't even really talked about CSN, but they got the leading scorer in our conference and, they're 19-7 right now. They tripped up us there. They tripped up Western at their place and they still got Eastern and Western at home. And so, I mean, it's legit. I talked to Dan Savage and he came over from, is that Region 18 where Salt Lake and them are, or Region 9?
I can't remember the number of the region.
Yeah. But they were in that league last year, and he's like, "Holy cow, this league has just like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
night in and night out. It's a dogfight." He was, I think, a little bit surprised how tough our region was.
Well, and I'm sure that there's a lot of teams in your league that are surprised how good he's become because
Yeah,
he's got some nice players. And I've seen his team play as well. Well coached. Yeah, Kenya, he's the one that's screwing this thing all up, because he can beat any one of them on any night,
Yeah.
vice
for sure.
versa, of course. So, yeah, this is great. This is what it's all about now. This time of the year, you know, turning it up a notch, and
Absolutely.
yeah. Do you do anything different in your practice setting now, in preparation moving forward the next 3 to 4 weeks? Do you back it down? What do you do?
We do, and we had started backing it down a little bit just because of the way our schedule was, where normally we maybe would have a Sunday off and get back after it on a Monday. Maybe we're taking Sunday, Monday off because we don't have a game till Saturday, and getting back after it later. Yesterday, because things have been so crazy and busy, we had our team Christmas yesterday in
Oh,
February, right?
okay.
Um, but we watched, in conjunction with that, we watched our Eastern game, learned from that, had a little pizza and had our Christmas party. But we play CCC on Wednesday, so that allowed us to do that there. But yeah, I mean, we're back in practices down. We're doing a lot more time and score. type things, so that we're prepared. We've had a ton of games already that have come down to the wire, and our kids, you can see the wheels turning and them starting to execute what maybe we're drawing up in that timeout. Against Eastern at our place, we had 2 plays that the kids executed what I told them to do, which is huge growth, because before I'd draw it up and we'd go out and we would do whatever we wanted to do. So
Yeah.
Like what?
They're starting to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
for sure.
And that's the only way that can happen is through experience, and so the growth, that's what you love to see. I remember when I was coaching and we would get to this point in the season and we would start to feel down on ourselves and feel like, man, I don't know if we're, getting better, or the players would start questioning their confidence and what they were doing, because we were putting more on them, right? And higher expectations. So we would go back and we would show them a game from October, November, December, and go, look, you were growing. This is what you did then, and this is what you did now. And then, that kind of clicks in their head too, like, okay, it is slowing down for me. I am doing good. I'm headed in the right direction. So yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Misty, we're big fans.
Yeah.
Congrats on your season thus far and the success you've had. Um, Man, keep it rolling, and we're going to be obviously keeping an eye on how you're doing, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Casper.
Thank you. We're working towards getting there, and I appreciate you guys, both of you JUCO legends. And so, really have a strong appreciation for you both, and appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, we're
Thank you
delighted.
for being with us. We know you're busy, so thank you so much for taking time out.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Misty Opat, Cochise College. Keep it going, Misty. Thanks for being on Hot Hoops.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Back in our final segment, NJCAA Hot Hoops. Kenya, last week we talked about one of the great players of JUCO basketball over the last 10 or so years in Evelyn Akator. And I'll tell you what, our minds must be thinking alike there at the NJCAA, huh? Because she got voted into the NJCAA Hall of Fame. What a great player at Chipola under Greg Franklin. Led him to a national championship, I believe in 2017 it may have been. And congratulations to Evelyn, well deserved. And she's a Hall of Famer.
No doubt. It's awesome.
Yeah. Let's talk about who's the nation's #1 assister. Okay, Michaela Hobdy at Shelton State, averaging 7.1 assists. So she's the engine that makes that Shelton State team go. Has really developed a good, solid backcourt game. She's got decent size. And of course, she is really well coached. Madonna Thompson, a national tournament regular. We don't think anything else. We're going to hope to see her again in Casper. But Michaela Hobdy. I came up with another name through our mailbag, by the way. Did you have any mailbag info or not?
No. What'd you get?
I got someone that's kind of a really good player and really, really developed over the course of her career. Okay. Simone Westbrook. This is a Chandler, Arizona product, and she wound up coming to none other than, of course, Northwest Florida State, and was an NJCAA All-American in her second season at Northwest Florida State, first teamer, I believe, under the guidance of the late and the great Patrick Harrington. she was phenomenal, and she won 50 games at Northwest Florida State during that 2-year career, and wound up then moving to Florida and playing for Amanda Butler, not once but twice.
Yeah.
And had like she seemed like she was the poster child for these players now that play an extended long period of time in their career.
Yeah.
And Simone was one of them because she hurt her knee and kind of elongated it, but was an all SEC defensive team member in 2016. And as I said, played at both Florida and Clemson, and is currently a high school teacher, I believe, in
Yeah.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Good role model. She's been through it,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
So Simone Westbrook, Northwest Florida State. So anything else to add, Kenya?
No, I mean, how many weeks do we have left?
We don't have many.
Was it 2 weeks of regular season and then regional tournament start?
Maybe not even that. I mean, there's some teams that have less than 4 games left now in the
Yeah.
regular season.
Yeah.
So, we get into that 12th, 13th, 14th of the month of March.
Mhm.
We're into our region tournaments,
Yeah.
and we'll see where it all falls out.
Absolutely.
So take us away, Ken. You go ahead.
Yeah, great show this week. Just big time thanks for Misty for jumping on with us. I just loved everything she said about changing it up, different type of players she's recruiting. And that can be a lesson learned, right? Like step
Yeah.
outside of your comfort zone, go get some that you wouldn't normally get. But just kudos to her, but kudos to all of our coaches that are just making a huge impact on the players, and they are changing lives. So good luck to everybody this week, and we look forward to covering all of your success next week.
Great. We'll see you next week, NJCAA Hoops.